Hello, Fertility Tribe. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my live stream. Today's topic is ovulation. Can a woman be ovulating without conceiving? This has been a very big question because the hype about ovulation has been so much online, offline, everywhere. Everybody's talking about ovulation, ovulation, ovulation. Is it possible that somebody can be ovulating yet not conceiving? That is today's topic. Welcome, technology rules. Hello, hello, you're welcome to my live stream. So, is it possible for a woman to be ovulating without conception? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. This is my camera. It is possible for a woman to ovulate and not conceive. We keep talking about ovulation. We keep talking about ovulation every day. Everybody's talking about ovulation. In fact, millions of women have ovulation trackers on their phones, the ovulation tracking apps. It is important, of course. Without ovulation, there can never be pregnancy. There can never be conception. Without ovulation, no woman can conceive. That is a statement of fact. But is ovulation the only thing needed? Is ovulation the only ingredient needed for conception? That is today's topic. Ovulation is not the only ingredient needed for conception. You can be ovulating yet not conceiving. And what are the reasons for this? Why would the woman be ovulating? Since ovulation is a very important ingredient, ovulation is a very important need for conception. So, how come a woman is ovulating but not conceiving? Can you hear me, guys? I hope you can hear me. Am I audible enough? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, can I get a yes? If you can hear me, can I get a yes, please? Okay, thank you, technology rules. You can hear me. So let me continue. So ovulation is not the only reason. Ovulation is not the only ingredient needed for conception. Ovulation is very important because without ovulation, no woman can conceive. But it is not the only thing needed for conception. A woman can be ovulating, yet conceiving. And that is today's topic. That's the topic for today. I hope we go far on this topic. If we don't, then we'll have to postpone it to another day. Yes, we'll continue another day, but let's just see how far we can go today. Hello, Nkechi. Hello, you're welcome to my live stream. Thank you for joining my live stream. Please like, and share so that YouTube will push it out to more people. This is a very important topic of discussion today. So, what are the things that can make a woman ovulate? She's ovulating, but she's not conceiving. What are the things that can cause such a condition? The number one reason a woman may be ovulating but not conceiving is blocked fallopian tubes. I have my board here. That is why I blocked tubes. Blocked tubes. Yeah. If a woman's fallopian tubes are blocked, or even if it is one blocked tube, she can ovulate, but she may not be able to conceive because the tubes are blocked. Now, after ovulation, you can check any of my videos. I've explained how ovulation happens. When ovulation happens, the fimbriae, there's something called the fimbriae. The fimbriae is the hand the finger-looking structure at the tip of the fallopian tubes. Both tubes have it, the fimbriae, the finger-looking structure at the tips, at the end, or at the beginning of the fallopian tubes, collect the egg. If the egg was released by the left ovary, the left fimbriae collects the egg, pushes it into the tubes from the ovary. If it is the right ovary that released the egg, the right fimbriae collects it and pushes it into the right fallopian tube. That is the way it happens. Now, if this same fallopian tube is blocked, the fallopian tube is the route, the route through which the egg travels to the uterus. The fallopian tube is like what would I call it now? Is the first part of the journey, the egg journey to the uterus. The fallopian tube is where sperm cells meet with the egg that was released at ovulation to fertilize it. Fallopian tube is where fertilization occurs. And we all know that fertilization is the meeting of the egg and the sperm. When the sperm and the egg meet, fertilization occurs. And that means the woman is pregnant. A new human being is being formed at that point of fertilization, at the point where the sperm and the egg meet. Pregnancy has occurred at that point. Now, when the tubes are blocked, the egg may be collected into the tube, but sperm cells will not be able to swim through the uterus into the tubes to meet the egg for fertilization. And when the sperm and the egg fail to meet, then fertilization cannot occur. In other words, pregnancy cannot be possible. That is the simple explanation to blocked tubes. When the woman has blocked tubes, it means fertilization cannot occur. Ovulation can occur, but fertilization cannot occur because the tubes are blocked and the sperm cells cannot travel through the tubes to meet with the egg for fertilization to occur. And that is why a woman can be ovulating or may be ovulating without getting pregnant. Hello, welcome to my live stream. Please like, continue to like so that YouTube will pass this good news to many more people. Now, that is one reason why a woman can be ovulating but not conceiving. Blocked tubes. Now, there are cases where only one tube is blocked. We all know we have two tubes, two fallopian tubes as women. You could be lucky and then just one tube is blocked, which means the other one is okay. Now, that for such a woman can conceive because one tube is open, one tube is free, while the other one is blocked. But this will reduce her chances of conception because she has only one tube working perfectly. The other one is blocked, which means her chances of conception have been reduced. But can she become pregnant? Yes, she can. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say a woman's right tube is functioning well, is open, is not blocked, while the left one is blocked. If ovulation occurs on the left ovary, or in the left ovary rather, because the left tube is blocked, the ovulation that occurred on the left ovary cannot go into the right fallopian tube. No. If ovulation occurs on the left or in the left ovary, the egg travels through the left tube. If ovulation occurs in the right ovary, the egg travels through the right fallopian tube. Now, the left fallopian is blocked, the right fallopian tube is open, is not blocked. If ovulation occurs in the left ovary, The egg travels through the left tube, and because the left tube is blocked, fertilization cannot occur, like I explained already. But maybe another season, another cycle rather, the next cycle, she's lucky enough to have ovulation occur in the right ovary. When it happens in the right ovary, the right tube collects the egg. The egg travels through the right fallopian tube, and in that case, fertilization can occur. That is why I said her chances of getting pregnant are slimmer, but she can get pregnant with one tube working perfectly. It's just that it reduces her chances, because whenever ovulation occurs on the side where the tube is blocked, there can be no pregnancy in that cycle. In the next cycle, if she's unlucky, the same ovary may be the same ovary maybe the ovary to release an egg, the same left ovary where you have the blocked tube. Maybe the same ovary. Last cycle it was the left tube. Next cycle it is the same left tube. And then maybe the third cycle, that is 3 months later, the right tube, maybe on the right tube. So you can see why her chances are reduced, but not totally diminished. So that is it for blocked tubes. If you have any questions, please you can drop them on the comments. Drop them in the comments. Thank you so much. Now, what is another reason a woman could be ovulating but not conceiving? We all look at women as the sole, what will I call it? The only people who have to battle, who have this, who have the problem. Let me put it that way. When it comes to infertility, when it comes to trying to conceive, everybody looks at the woman and nobody remembers to look at the man. Now, male factor infertility is up to between 30 and 40% of all couples who are trying to conceive is as a result of male factor infertility. Between 30 to 40% of couples who are trying to conceive and yet not conceiving is as a result of male factor infertility. It takes 2 people to make a baby. Now, the man has to do what we call a semen analysis. A semen analysis is you test the man's sperm count, you check for sperm motility. Do his sperm cells move at a particular speed? If they are too slow, it can affect conception. You check for sperm morphology. Sperm morphology is the shape of the sperm. Sperm has a particular shape. Is the shape of his sperm cells normal or not the regular shape? All these can affect conception. The DNA damage. You check if the sperm cells are the quality of his sperm cells. Is there any type of damage, DNA damage, genetic damage? You check for the man's sperm cell. So I'm talking to women here. When it comes to trying to conceive, don't be the only one taking the whole blame or putting everything on yourself, carrying everything on your shoulders. Your husband, your partner should be there with you. You are going for tests, you are going together, because both of you need, emphasis on need, to be tested. You can't just be testing the woman only. No, it takes 2 people to make a baby. So the man has to go through a series of tests as well. If the man does not have normal sperm count, the normal sperm count is having about 15 to 20 million sperm cells per male of a particular ejaculate. 15 to 20 million sperm cells per male, per 1 male. Minimum of 15 million sperm cells per male. If his sperm count is not up to that, then it means he has low sperm count. And that can be the reason you are not conceiving, even when you are ovulating. Sperm motility. Does his sperm cells or do his sperm cells move at a particular speed, or are they slow in movement? That is another condition. Do they have the regular shape, or are the shapes, or is the shape abnormal? These are the things you need to look at in the man. Even aging can cause defects in sperm cells, sperm quality, lifestyle, too much alcohol, too much smoking, too much unhealthy foods, no exercise, no workouts, laptops, placing your laptops on your lap too close to your genitals. These are all things that can cause sperm defects. So please, as you're checking yourself as a woman, the man is also checking himself. You're also running tests. The two of you are running tests together because it takes two people to make a baby. It's not just, it shouldn't be on one person's shoulders. No. Now, that is the second reason you could be ovulating and not conceiving: sperm defects. Sperm defects. Defects in sperm morphology, motility, and DNA and sperm count. Genetics in general. Now, another reason or another cause of ovulating but not conceiving is uterine abnormalities. Sorry, excuse me. Uterine anomalies. Now, the uterine lining, the uterine lining is a nest or forms a nest. Forms a nest. We call it a nest. It's just a thickening around the uterine wall. That thickening is what we call a nest. It is called the uterine thickening. This thickening is there so that in case of a possible pregnancy, it will nourish the embryo. This thickening is there for nourishment of the embryo and giving it warmth and giving it all that it needs to survive in the womb. That is a growing, a developing baby in the womb. When this uterine lining fails to get thick enough, getting thick enough is, I think, getting thick enough is a minimum of a minimum of 8 millimeters. Sorry, a minimum of 8 millimeters thickness. It has to be up to about 8 millimeters thick for it to be able to hold an embryo, for implantation to be able to occur. Implantation is when a fertilized egg moves from the fallopian tubes to the uterus to implant into the. Thank you, Dole Diamond. Thank you so much for joining our live stream. Please continue liking, continue liking. We need more people on this call. Thank you. So as I was saying, implantation is when a fertilized egg moves from the fallopian tube, to the uterus to implant, to embed, to attach itself into the lining of the uterus. The lining is what I refer to as a nest. If this lining is not thick enough, then implantation cannot happen. Implantation cannot occur if the lining is too thin. It has to be at least 8 millimeters thick for implantation to be successful. You can be ovulating, or you may be ovulating. Your tubes may not be blocked, which means fertilization can occur. But when the fertilized egg travels from the fallopian tubes to the uterus to implant, implantation fails because the uterine lining is not thick enough. The uterine lining is not thick enough for implantation to occur. And then pregnancy fails. And in this case, you will see menses because you will see menses and think it is normal menses. You will not even know that it was a baby, an embryo. I'm just saying a baby, it's a layman's language. At this stage, it's not called a baby. At this stage, it is called a an embryo. It's called an embryo. It is a failed pregnancy, but it got aborted too early, and so it comes out as menses. You see it and you think it's menses. You won't know it is a failed pregnancy, an embryo that tried to implant, but implantation never occurred. And so it just dissolves and comes out as menses. You, on the other hand, will think it's your menses, but it's a failed pregnancy because implantation failed to happen as a result of thin uterine lining. As a result of a thin uterine lining. So that's the third reason you could be ovulating and not conceiving. Thin uterine lining. That's another reason you may be ovulating and not conceiving. I hope you guys are getting me. Can you hear me, please? Greenfields and Olives, you're welcome to my live stream. And it's getting dark around here. So I think we'll end this live stream and continue tomorrow. I think we should just end this live stream. Or do you have any questions? Let me just stop explaining here. I'll continue explaining tomorrow, but I can still answer one or two questions before we call it a day. If you have any questions, yeah, thank you, Valerie Okeke. You can hear me. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, like just one or two